Are you ready to find out the shocking truth behind success's shiny surface? The hidden stories of rappers who reached unimaginable heights, but then crashed and burned, losing all their money. From expensive homes to empty bank accounts, these once famous people's lavish lifestyles, spending habits, and huge debts brought them to the edge of bankruptcy. Secrets will be revealed, wealth will fall apart, and the harsh truth about the money problems in the music business will leave you speechless. Can anyone really get out of a bad financial situation? Let's see. Number 10. Ja Rule. Ja Rule ruled the early 2000s with his songs that were in the top 10. Even though the number of his hits slowed down around 2004, he still made $3 million from 2004 to 2006. Unfortunately, he didn't report his income, so the IRS sent him a bill for $1.1 million. He also got 28 months in jail for not paying his taxes. In 2019, the IRS said that Ja owed more than $2 million in back taxes. He was caught again because of his part in the infamous Fire Festival. He is now being sued by dozens of people on behalf of the whole group. Ja won't be able to forget that for a long time. Number 9. Nelly. During the 2000s, Nelly had a lot of success. He had 4 #1 songs and 3 #1 albums, including his debut, which has since been certified as a diamond in the US. The RIA says that Nelly has sold a total of 21 million albums. This makes him the 4th most famous rapper in the history of the United States. He must of course have some money, but in 2016, Uncle Sam slapped him with a $2.4 million tax lien, which was a big enough debt that the IRS could take his property and assets. Since then, he's been drowning in debt. Even worse, he got a bill for nearly $150,000 in state taxes that he hadn't paid. Death in taxes, as the saying goes. Number 8. DMX. I'll give it to you, unless you work for the IRS. Even though DMX has had a few legal problems along the way, he has had a long and great career as a rapper. However, all the money he has made has come back to hurt him. He is said to have tried to file for bankruptcy 3 times and said each time that he had no money and very few belongings. Between 2010 and 2015, X didn't pay his income taxes. So in July of 2017, he was charged with a ridiculous 14 counts of tax fraud. He had made more than $2 million in that time, and Uncle Sam wanted his share. Later, the rapper was found guilty of not paying taxes and given a year in jail. He was also told to pay back $2.29 million. Number 7. Bow Wow. When Shad Moss was a teenager, he made a few famous records under the name Lil Bow Wow. Later, he tried his hand in acting and started movies, even though he probably never had as much money as some of the other rappers on our list. His money troubles too. In the late 2000s, he stopped making payments on his luxury cars, and in 2012, he said he was totally broke and had only $1,500 in his bank account. In 2017, when he was caught flying commercial after bragging online about flying on a private jet, his money problems became a joke. This led to the hashtag Bow Wow Challenge, which got a lot of laughs on the internet. Poor Bow Wow. Number 6. Lil Kim. If there's one thing we've all learned from this, it's that you should always pay your taxes. As Saul Goodman says, if they can get Capone, they can get you. In 2018, it was said that Lil Kim owed the IRS more than $1 million in back taxes, which is a lot for someone who is already struggling financially. Court papers that TMZ got hold of said that Kim owed $2 million on her house and about $186,000 in unpaid court bills. Altogether, she owed about $4 million. Later, the bank took her home and Lil Kim filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Number 5. Fat Joe. And wouldn't you know it, the tax collector shows up again. Between 2007 and 2010, Fat Joe didn't file his income taxes. He then made a deal to reduce the charges to 2 courts of failure to file taxes. During those years, Fat Joe made about $3.3 million. His tax bill was $718,000 because of this. Fat Joe paid the bill just in time for his court date, which cut his jail time from 2 years to 4 months. He must not have learned his lesson, because the IRS hit him again in 2016, this time for tax fraud in 2014 to the tune of just over $1 million. So now, the government isn't a joke. Number 4. Young Buck. The story of how Young Buck managed to waste a significant amount of money is a very important lesson, because Young Buck owed the Internal Revenue Service (IRS) hundreds of thousands of dollars. Agents from the IRS came into his home in 2010 and stole valuable items such as watches and leather chairs. In the end, they made some money off of these by selling them at sale. It was also discovered that Young Buck owes more than $11 million to a number of different individuals. Therefore, Buck submitted a petition to open a Chapter 13 case. Despite this, Buck is not solely to blame for his disaster because his personal lawyer believed that the business manager was the one responsible for paying the taxes on the company. It ended up that nobody gave Uncle Sam his portion, which meant that nobody emerged victorious. Who else than the Internal Revenue Service? But isn't that something that typically takes place? Number 3. Exhibit. Have you ever considered what happened to Exhibit after the release of one of his shows? So what exactly took place? He was broke at that point. After the show was cancelled, Exhibit's annual income was approximately $67,000, which is not even close to being sufficient to support a lavish lifestyle. In 2010, just 3 years after the conclusion of the show, he had accumulated debts totaling $1.4 million. In addition, the Internal Revenue Service went after Exhibit, just like they did a lot of other performers, and handed him a bill for almost $960,000 in back taxes. That did not in any way make the situation better. He made 2 separate attempts to get his request for bankruptcy filed, but both of those attempts were denied. Number 2. Nas. Nas is one of the best rappers of all time, and his first album is often thought to be one of the most important albums in history. The IRS doesn't care about their image at all. They just want their money. While Nas and his ex-wife Kelly's were working out child support payments, it came out that Nas owing the IRS a lot of money. But that wasn't all he had to worry about. Nas was in so much debt that he was actually drowning. He owed $700,000 to his manager, $300,000 in back child support payments, and was forced to pay Kelly's $50,000 a month, which he did not have. His house was taken away by the bank because he didn't pay back a $400,000 loan. Number 1. MC Hammer. In the early 1990s, MC Hammer was living it up. Hammer was worth an estimated $33 million, most of which came from You Can't Touch This. He spent his money on things like a huge entourage that cost $500,000 a month, a $30 million house, 19 thoroughbred racehorses, 2 private helicopters, a Lamborghini, and a private jet, among other things. He ended up owing $13 million, so he filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. In 2011, the IRS sent Mr. Hammer a bill for almost $780,000 for taxes he hadn't paid from 1996 to 1997. It just shows that the IRS will always get you in the end, even if it takes 15 years. From tax evasion and unpaid debts to lavish spending and failed investments, their stories serve as cautionary tales about the importance of financial responsibility and the consequences of neglecting financial obligations. The cases of these rappers demonstrate that even immense wealth and fame can crumble under the weight of financial irresponsibility, proving that financial success requires more than just talent and popularity. That's all for the day. We will be right back. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.